So I literally went in and printed out, this is every transaction I've ever done, double-sided. And it's like looking at my life from a completely different perspective. So crazy. And to literally go back to my first year in business and see where my business came from, but also to remember the people that I sold the properties to. I could remember every person. I had to check a couple houses, but I literally could remember. It's crazy. So I'm excited to teach you today about where I got my business, like what I did my first year in business, because where I'm at now is not where some of you are at right now, right? And you usually, when you have someone that you look up to, or you look at people that are selling, you're looking at them, but they may be 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 years down the road in their business. And then we tend to compare ourselves to where we're at, and we want to get there, and we want to get there kind of fast. And that starts to create a little bit of sometimes overwhelm, impatience starts to happen. And then we tend to shut down. We don't actually make progress in our business when we do that. And so I'm going to teach you what I did my first year so that you can just take from it whatever you will, and see, you might be doing just what you need to do in your business. Who knows, right? So welcome today. If you are new, I'm happy to have you here. I do Ask a Coach every single Thursday, and we are going to get to some questions today as well. We had some really great Ask a Coach questions come in. So if you did ask a question, I would love for you to click the little raise hand button. If you look down in the bottom to reactions, you can click raise hand so that we can go through and I can call on you, and we can start to answer some of those questions that you've got. Get some coaching in today too. So I'm not going to take your whole day here telling you about my business. So Lisa Bingley, you're going to learn a little bit more about me. When I started my business, I was stay-at-home mom. I always did something from home. I was ambitious, but I think I also get into trouble if I don't do something all the time. And so anyway, stay-at-home mom, and I was doing medical billing from my desk. And I'm going to tell you one thing I've never told anybody before, which is my boss for the medical billing. I remember when I told her I was getting my real estate license, and she was discouraging me. She was telling me how hard it was going to be, that it wasn't a good idea. And honestly, some people might take that real personal, and it might discourage you, and it might stop you from pressing forth and doing something, right? If you get that. And I want to share with you, that was just her fears that she was just kind of projecting on me. And I think her fear of losing me as her employee, because I did a freaking good job for her. And so I'm glad that I didn't take that to heart, but we definitely all can have people in our lives. I had one question: what if my spouse doesn't support me? Sometimes I have to look at, why do I need their support? Why am I really wanting that? Why do we need that external validation for how we want to feel? Because I'm telling you right now, it is your choice about how you want to feel, what you want to do. And other people are going to have their opinions, and they're going to have their concerns, and they're going to have their, worries that they want to try to hand to you. And I just don't take them. I'm like, yeah, you can keep those. I'm good. Right. I've gotten better at that over the years, but I realized I forgot about that part of my story. So real estate was the thing as I was transitioning from my kids going to school to me staying home all the time by myself and was super depressed. That I gave myself opportunity to say, what do I want to do with my life? Like, okay, now my kids don't need me. That's that like pivotal moment, right? That next step in life. What do I want to do with my life? And I loved service. I love to help people, which every time I talk to an agent and we do a one-on-one call, I'm like, why are you in the business? Because I love to help people. Always. I've not had one person not say that to me. Okay, so we're in the business because we love to help people. Okay, but when we get into the business because we love to help people, we have to have some secondary reasons why we're in the business for when it sucks, when it gets hard, when people tell us no, when the market changes, when the interest rate's high, when, like, fill in the blank, right? We have got to have more reason than just, I love to help people, because as much as we love to help people, if we're not doing contracts and listing houses and helping buyers, we're not making money. And you can only do that for so long. So I loved to help people. And I loved pricing. But let me tell you what I usually priced: cans of beans, or, olives or whatever, for grocery shopping. That's literally the skill that I developed, was staying on a really, really tight budget and like knowing what the price was of the same can of beans at the 3-4 different grocery stores and where the cheapest place was that I was going to get my groceries. That's actually what I learned to do. I just took that. It's the same concept. I applied it to houses, right? Same concept. So as I got into business, I'll skip to the good meaty stuff because I know that's why you're here. So I got into business and I did not. So here's my journey. I did not have training. I literally had no training. I went to write my first contract and I called my boss, my broker, on the way to writing this contract. Let me back up for just a second. I had printed every type of document that I thought I was going to need, and I had them in a folder in my car. Okay, that's what I did. I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't know how to do it online very well. And so I literally printed all the forms. I prepared myself in case somebody needed to buy something, and I had them all with me in my car. And sure enough, my first house that I had shown, or well, I showed him a couple houses, but my first client, like, yeah, we want to write an offer. Okay. I literally had no idea how to fill out the documents. I was not prepared. So if you think you need to be fully prepared, people, yeah, not always, right? Flew by the seat of my pants, went over, filled out the document, and missed some of the spots. Don't turn me in, but I filled them in later. Okay. I did not get I got all their signatures, but I didn't fill in all the little numbers everywhere because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. So I filled them in later, not legal. Okay. Filled them in later. And when I closed that client, that first client, cracks me up. They did not know it was my first transaction. They had no idea. I knew it was my first. I didn't know what I was doing. I was punting. I was leaning on the listing agent. I didn't know how to find the docs online for the listing. Like, I didn't know anything, you guys. And I still to this day love that listing agent because she was kind to me. And she's like, yeah, the little D on the, go get the docs. And this is where you can download the disclosures. And I was like, oh, like I hadn't been taught anything at all, but I figured it out. I made it through. Was it slightly painful? I don't know. I was enjoying it. And my first paycheck was amazing. It was like $3,200. I was so happy. We bought a Traeger at Costco. Like that was our gift to ourselves. It was like the most money, right? Awesome. So as I look back at what my journey looked like, there are definitely some things that I'm going to teach you and tell you that I do believe are not happening for people in the industry right now because of opportunities that you have. I think it's not allowing agents to actually grow in a more confident way. Okay, and I'm going to explain that. So I did detect a pattern for myself. So I'm going to tell you what my pattern is. The pattern was that I didn't have anything else to lean on. So I knew nothing about free lead sources. It's only been 9 years, so I know they were out there. I didn't know about Zillow. I didn't know that you could hire these companies. Like right now, you guys, how many emails and text messages and phone calls do you get about like, hey, I can run Facebook ads for you and it's X amount of dollars, or here, buy our leads, or would you like leads for 25% referral fee, right? Leads, all over the place. Okay, that didn't exist for me. I wasn't on the board. I didn't get the phone calls, and it also wasn't as big of a thing 9 years ago. So, and I didn't have money, by the way. My mom was helping to pay our grocery bill because I had quit my job to go all in on real estate. Okay, all in. So my pattern was that I did not lean on anyone else or anything else but myself. That was the pattern that I had. Now, when I say I didn't lean on anybody, sure, I called my broker. I had to ask him questions. Like I still looked for information, but I wasn't looking externally for someone else to solve my leads problem. I wasn't looking to companies and lead sources to solve my leads problem. Now, since then, a few years in, when we talk about how I accelerated how many homes I was selling, I did start to add in my lead sources. I found out about HomeLight and Fast Expert and Zillow and all the things. Ojo was a couple years ago, but I found out about all those and I started to add those into my funnels. So I had multiple lead sources. But originally, I was my lead source, you guys. I was my lead source. And I do believe that that gave me an amazing foundation for figuring out how to work my business without looking to other things to fill that need. Okay. The other things just helped me get to 120 houses a year because I had more. We all follow what I'm saying? I get like an amen in the chat. Okay. Just making sure I'm making sense because like explaining my life is, you know, it's going to be interesting. Okay. So that was my pattern, is not leaning. Okay. The expectation. I had zero expectation of someone else doing my job or helping me. Zero. I actually didn't look at my broker and say, oh my gosh, I need to change brokerages because he's not providing me with what I need. I could have easily said that, oh, this brokerage has, you know, more training, or they're going to feed me leads so I could change brokerage. I had none of that. I literally was just this happy person because I wasn't stuck in my house anymore. And I wasn't depressed because I was out in the world, right? They unleashed me. Just kidding. I always was unleashed, but I was unleashed. And my expectation was that it was up to me. I had no other expectation. And I think that's huge because when I get agents that come on and I'm coaching, we're looking for someone else. Like we love, and it feels comfortable to have something else to lean on, doesn't it? Like it feels good to know that if I can't find leads or the market changes, I can look to my brokerage and they're going to feed me leads. I'm going to tell you right now, I did an interview with a broker owner and she has been paying for leads for her agents. The leads are drying up and now her agents don't know how to go find their own business. That's a problem. It's can I give you a fish and you can eat for a day, or I'm going to teach you how to fish and you can eat for a lifetime and feed everybody else. Right? You have to figure out how you're going to work your business by yourself. Everything else is supplemental. So what is your expectation? And this is a good gut check for you guys today, where you're at in your business with these things. Okay. Then I came to what works. So I'm going to give you a kind of a few stories, and as I flip and reveal the chart of where my business came from, I'm going to tell you like where and why that business came, the activities and things I was doing to get that business to come. Okay. And of course, once we know what works, we just do more of it. And what's going to work for you doesn't work for me. And what your market looks like is not what my market looks like. Right? We all have different interests. We have different personalities. Our markets behave differently. I'm in a small town. I'm next to a big town. Like, what did I want to focus on? What pool did I want to jump in? You have to decide for you what that looks like. And when you enjoy it, then you will do it with excellence. When you enjoy it, you will do it with excellence. When you don't enjoy it, that's when we tend to get frustrated, or we don't get up in the morning and really go hit it hard. Okay. I really just had a really crappy morning, like 15 minutes before I just got on this call, like something that would literally usually put me in the ground crying. And I'm like, but I love my people and I'm going to get on and we're going to talk. Like we're going to coach. We're going to keep going. Right. Like you have to really be in touch with what you love. Otherwise, but it does put you in the ground. Okay, I'm going to move this out of the way. See that? Okay, perfect. Okay, so literally, this is exactly where my business came from. I went and identified. Now, this is year one. Okay, and I didn't add them up. I think I'm missing a few, but I pulled it off the MLS. And 5, 10, 50, 20, 25. Yeah, I'm missing some because I know there's some people I missed, but this is going to give you a general idea. Okay. So I love to tick mark every single year where my business came from, every single year. Because then if, let's say you're paying for Zillow ads, then you are very aware if they're working, if they're not working, how much of your income is coming from that, how much is not. You need to assess that. So as we're coming at the end of the year right now, this is what you need to do. What did your business look like? Where did it come from? If you haven't done this for past years, it needs to happen for past years. Okay. So I'm going to tell you my builder story in just a hot second, but that'll be my last story. Okay. So builder story. So Google, I did go put up my profiles everywhere I could find. Everywhere. I didn't even have an actual Google profile, I don't think, like Google business page. I didn't even have that yet. But I made sure that Zillow, Realtor.com, like every other place that I could put a free profile, which I give you a list inside my academy. You need to make sure your profiles are up. These people just found me. Okay. I didn't know them. They found me. For sale by owners. See, and that's off because I had 3 of those. I'm gonna add that. My first 3 listings were actually for sale by owners. So in my journey, I would drive around with all my paperwork in the back of my car in case somebody wanted to buy something. And I would literally take my iPad because I couldn't afford a laptop. I would take my iPad, I would drive around, I would find a for sale by owner, I would pull over, and I would look it up. So I would pull up on the MLS if it had been listed previously. I would pull up the for sale by owner listing, which generally it was on like Zillow on the for sale by owner tab. And I would look at what they had, how they priced it, how they presented it. Okay. It's as much about the presentation as it is about the price. So I would look at those aspects and then I would ask myself, how can I help them? First question I would ask before I make a phone call. Okay. Before I make a phone call. Then once I was confident, so that helped for me create confidence because I knew I could help them. And this is exactly how I could help them. So now I had my pitch, right? Now I was ready. I had confidence. I had confidence in my pitch. Then I would make the phone call and I would say, hey, looks like you have this thing for sale, right? Can you tell me a little bit about it? And then we'd go through that conversation of how I would convert a for sale by owner. Now, did I know what I was doing, you guys? No, I hadn't sold anything. I was making crap up. But I made it up by researching. The part that I didn't make up was the research, was understanding the market, understanding what they had and what value. Take it back to the can of beans, guys. Like I loved to price and know what the price of beans were at all the places, all the different grocery stores. It's just a skill that you can acquire. It does not require confidence to get that skill. Right. So I literally would know what they should sell their house for, and then how I could help them. That was my pitch. And the first 3 things that I landed were all for sale by owners, first 3 listings. Now, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. And she made the money. I only sold 2 or 1. I only sold 1 of those. Oh, so that's why that doesn't show up on there. Hold on. That's why it doesn't show up because I didn't. I'm going to take that off. I only sold 1 of the 3 because I had not yet honed in my skills of how to sell the property. It's one thing to get the listing. It's another thing to understand how to sell it. Right? Okay. So I was missing skills there. Okay. So those were my first 3 listings and my first buyer. My first paycheck didn't come until 4 months into my business. 4 months. And every single day, I would get up, I would get on the MLS, and I would go look at every single house that was on the market. I would check it all out. I would start to understand what was out there, how they were priced, like what was a good price. I started to be able to differentiate. When you look at so many houses, you guys can tell this now, right? When you look at so many houses, you look at, 10, 1,400 square foot houses, you know which one's the best price. So that's what I would do. I would just go look at every single thing that was on the market. That gave me opportunity. And the opportunity that presented was when I was at the school volunteering. So here with my SOI, right? I actually didn't have a sphere. So I kind of hate the sphere of influence word here. I was in a small town with not really a lot of friends, and we were new. We were new. We lived here for 2 years. So I didn't really know a lot of people. Okay. So the Sphere, and then the place that we moved from, which was really only 35, 45 minutes away, I did do that thing where they say with your Sphere, you get into the business, right? Mail everybody a letter that you know and let them know now what you do for a job. So I was like, okay, that's what you do, because that's what my broker told me to do. So I mailed everybody a letter. I did not sell one house to any person that I mailed a letter to, by the way. So that's, take it as it is. Like they maybe knew what I do now, but I cannot actually trace any of my business to mailing that letter out. No one referred anyone to me from that letter. Okay, I just want to be very clear. My Sphere was non-existent. So I created it. And I created that by association. Like literally one of my listings and purchases came from playing on a softball team and them knowing what I do for a job. Okay. Volunteering at the school. I created this entire fundraiser program at my kids' school because I didn't know anybody. So now I knew 25 moms and dads because I had to reach out to them for help. And I coupled with that is I put magnets on my car. That's probably one of the first things I actually did. It was $25 from Vistaprint. I will find a photo. It is probably the most cringe thing you've ever seen. It really was my business card, so I guess it's not really cringe, but it literally was a $25 magnet that I slapped on the sides of my van, my white minivan, and I drove around very proudly because this is what I do for a job now. Like, no judgment of myself whatsoever. This is what I do for a job. Well, what I realized is people would call me off of the magnets. I did have a couple sales from that, but my sphere of influence that I call my sphere, these are not friends, guys. These are not people that I previously knew. They're people that saw my car in the church parking lot. So now they know what I did for a job. So now when they needed help, they felt comfortable calling me because we had something in common. That was it. Okay, so it doesn't have to be sphere like you have friends. It really is just sphere of people that know what you do because you're constantly advertising it, but not in a cringy, not in a in-your-face asking people for referrals kind of way. So softball, volunteering at school or church, whatever. Volunteering at school and church. Family, I had some sales for my family, referrals. Somebody stalked me on Facebook because I was friends with someone else, and then they saw what I did for a job on my Facebook. Mind you, I hadn't really sold anything. So I still would be able to post helpful information or homes or to give them an idea of what I did for a job. That's all that it is. It's not because we show up when we look the best and we're giving them the best content and no, content wasn't even a word 9 years ago anyway. Not for me. I barely had got a Facebook account. I really hated it. So they stalked me and needed help. And because there was an association with someone else, they felt comfortable with me. So I'm going to totally cross this off. And I like that way better. Doesn't that feel better? Associations. Way better than your sphere, because your sphere makes you feel like you don't have friends. It makes me feel like I don't have friends. And I didn't. Right? But I had associations and I could create associations. That is the beauty of the job. You can get out and create it. Okay. Open houses. I did do open houses and I did them a lot. And my first year, I thought that I was way more successful at them actually, because I did them often. I wasn't. Look, I did too. It's still too. They still all add up, but I did a lot of open houses. That gave me opportunity to get really good at talking to people, get really good at feeling uncomfortable, get really good at presenting myself, understanding what questions they have. It's kind of like throwing me to the wolves here on Ask a Coach. I don't know what question you're going to ask me, but it's sure as heck making me a better coach when you come to me with something that I maybe there's a harder topic or a harder question, and we figure it out, right? So open houses, I look at it like that. It gives you opportunity. Now, knowing what I know now, I'm the boss at converting people at an open house because I have a process for that. But that's not something I had my first year. So you guys have like a leg up because there's so much more information that you can be given and taught. I've got some Academy members in here. Like, can I get an amen? Like, you guys get to learn how, like, better skills for how to do this faster than what I did. But the business is not coming from different places. It's still all coming from the same spots. Okay. Okay. That's funny. Jennifer, she said that she did billboards and people called her to tell her she was cute. And she asked her on a date. That's very flattering. That's awesome. Okay. We don't have billboards in our town. Okay. Double ending. So I did get good at converting because when someone would call me on one of my listings, I would find out if they had something to sell. So this is where I really compounded my business because the number of people here, I should have added that up. The number of people here is much smaller than the number of closings I have. Okay. Because I would, like, they come to me, let's say on a listing, like one of my builders listings, right? They come to me and maybe in an open house even, and they ask about the current property that I'm listing, and we take them on the tour, and then I get to know them, start to create some rapport, create some little bit of friendship and trust, and then I can find out, do they have something to sell? Like, what's their situation? And it's not, I don't ever say, do you have some, I mean, sometimes I say, do you have something to sell? But it naturally comes up in the conversation, honestly. When you find out like what's going on, they're going to naturally tell you, yeah, well, we have this house to sell. So you don't have to be like, do you have something to sell? Right? They will tell you. And then I just step in with, oh, tell me about it. Like, what do you have? And then I offer my services, which sounds like, well, I can be able to give you a price. If you'd like to know what a price on your current home is, if I take a quick tour through it, I can be able to get you some information. Then you know what your budget is for purchasing. And they're like, yeah, who doesn't want to know their budget? Okay, there is zero sales, like creepy sales involved in that. Let me help you give you a price and let's know what your budget is. You're talking to them like a normal person, right? This does not require a script at all. So then I'd look at theirs and then we'd find out price on theirs. And then they'd love the one that I was selling. And then sure enough, we write offers and I have 3 transactions all down from one person. That is how I did my business. I mean, I had 7 double ends, right? So that's double ending the listing that I had, right? So it's 14 transactions right there. 14 transactions, not to mention those people who came from me from somewhere, right? Had something to sell. So right there, like when most people are selling 12 in a year, like what's our average? We got some people on here selling more than that. But that's how you start to compound your business. It's one way, one avenue to compound your business. Okay. Okay. I want to tell you my builder story. And then please put, if you guys have any questions, raise your hand, hit the raise hand button. Okay. My builder story. So before I even had my license, I was one of those unfortunate people who was not getting their fingerprints in forever. So I was like waiting, I passed the test, I was sitting there, right? And no fingerprints had come in. So I'm like twiddling my thumbs, trying to like figure out what to do. In the meantime, there's a new development going in our area. I had done some research. I knew based on what we had in the market, the demographic of people that we had in our market, I had an understanding of who would buy the homes in this new subdivision. Okay, what the need was. And at the time in the general market, everyone was building 3,000 square foot houses, 2 stories, masters on the 2nd floor. That's what was getting built by builders everywhere. In this specific area, it's like, these are going to be single level homes and they're going to be retired people, downsizing, coming off of acreage properties, coming down to single level homes. That's what I believed based on my research and just knowing the area. Okay. So I ended up calling the guy. So I want to tell you little backstory though, this builder slash developer who was doing this development, he was financially backed by someone that I knew. Okay. I did not call the person I know and say, you should hire me. That is very important to understand. I didn't need a favor. I was going to be dang good at my job and I didn't need a favor from anyone. So I called the builder directly and I said, and pitched myself. Like, I know who's going to buy your houses. Have you hired someone to help you? And he's like, no, we don't think we need an agent. And I'm like, So then I challenged him. How are you going to like deal with agents that bring buyers in? How are you going to get the properties like out there for the world to see? How are you going to, and I just gave him a lot of like, how are you going to do these things, right? I challenged him. He's a very tough man anyway. So I challenged him. It took 2 months. 2 months, I would check in with him every week or two. And I just said, can I take you to lunch? How's it going? How's the development going? And I would ask what was going on in their world. And I was waiting for things to kind of unfold. Because as I watched, I knew like they could try to do it themselves, but they'd be so much better off if I helped them. So a few interviews later, they hired me. Okay, so the first deal that I actually landed, I had not money yet, but the first deal I actually landed was a development. It was going to be 49 houses. Took us 5 years to sell it out, by the way. It took forever. But 49 houses, but I landed the development. And he said to me, I had beat out people who had had their license for 15, 16 years. I had beat out people who had been selling $13, $15 million in real estate every year. And he never asked me how long I had my license. So that's important to know because the information I was providing to him was overshadowing him thinking that I was a new agent. Okay. No clue. Didn't ever ask me. I came with the value and the value and the value and what I can do for you and how I can do it and how it's going to be amazing. That's how I showed up. So the day that he says, you're hired, like we want to work with you, I was like, awesome. And we walked out of the office together and he said, he was a commercial builder. And he said, you'd never know that I'd never built a house before because he'd never done residential. And I was like, oh, I said, you'd never know I'd never sold a house before either. And he was like, what? I was like, never sold a house. You'll be my first. And he was like, oh my gosh. Right. And it was funny, but we had built such a rapport. It's not like it repelled him. Like it was actually pretty like awesome at that time. Anyway, so the thing is, like, they're not going to ask you. We're worried as new agents. We're worried if we go to do something that's harder than we're maybe used to, or we're not familiar with, we've never done it before. We have to be able to get out of our head and get in touch with what we love, why we're doing it. And when you do that, you show up with excellence, right? And we don't rely on other people to make our business for us. And I think, like, just in a nutshell, like, that is the biggest lesson that I could give you about your business. It's your responsibility. It's for you to figure out how to do, and nobody else is here to help you. And if we continue to lean on other people, just so you know, the other people always disappear. Like, they're not always going to be there. So you have to be able to figure it out. Right? So what are your expectations? Where do you want to get your business? These were fun things for me. You see how big my associations are, even though I didn't have all the friends. I love to talk to people. I love it. And I found different ways to get myself and show myself out there. So then people will call me. And really, my business now has been built so much on associations, and people just knowing me now in the area. Marita says, I'm a new agent. I'm new in this state. She's petrified to cold call. I wouldn't want to cold call either. Marita, I would love for you to unmute because I would love to know what a cold call means to you. That's also a phrase that I don't love. You're good with talking in person, but you despise the cold call and can't figure out why. Okay. You'd rather go out and shovel cow poop. I love it. Can you unmute for me, Marita? Oh, there you
Yes.
are. Hello, you're bright.
Hi.
Okay. What does cold calling mean to you?
They want me to make 10, 20 calls, just circle prospecting through Vulcan 7.
Okay.
And it takes me an hour just to hit the dial button.
Yeah. Because
I-
what are we calling to ask?
If if they know of anyone that is interested in putting the house on the market or probably selling now or in the near future,
Yeah.
I just feel like a salesperson. I hate it when I get those calls.
Mhm.
And I feel like I'm intruding on them. And I shouldn't say I hate, but I've had one person tell me to off. I
Yeah.
can't, okay. And I thought, this is not for me. I don't want to do this. I
Yeah.
just don't want to do it.
Okay. So here's your permission. Don't do it then.
No.
No, I've never done that once in my life. I would
Oh
not
my,
want to do that either.
I hate it.
Yeah. So don't do it because you're not going to show up like you already said. It takes you an hour to touch the phone and try to call somebody. That's not a really good use of your time. Okay. So here's the thing. Whoever's telling you, I'm assuming it's your brokerage.
Yeah.
Okay. They're giving you some sort of guidance, the best they know how to get you to make progress in your business. And they're like, here's a really good idea. Take this really good idea. And it works for some people. Some people love it. But for you, you don't love it. So the question is, what do you love?
I love going out and talking to people face to face. That is my comfort.
Good. So find out how to do that more,
Yeah.
right? That's where we go to do more of the thing that you love to do and that works. So if you love to go out and talk to people, then where are you going to find people to talk to? How are you going to do that?
I go to coffee shops. I do it in church. I found out, having friends isn't always the easiest and best, like you say.
Mhm.
They're not the ones that usually are receptive to it because they know I'm new. Being new is hard.
You
I
know, it's,
mean, it's a
yeah,
challenge.
yeah. You know, it's really interesting that your friend may ask you or know that you're new and maybe not have the same faith in you as someone who does not know you, like the builder that I approached. He knows nothing about me except for what I told him.
True.
Right? He could have all the faith in me in the world, where literally, even my broker, whom I love, like he did not give me that sort of like faith and support. He didn't be like, yeah, you go out and change the world, Lisa, you can do it. No. Even with coaching, you guys, when I came to him and I was like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to take all this knowledge that I have and I'm going to train people, I'm going to coach people so they can make money. And I literally got the, not an eye roll, but like okay, that's a cute little dream. Like, and maybe he didn't mean it that way, but that's the way it came to me, right? Because he knows me. So when they know us, they see the limitations they want to see. So friends are tough. That's why the sphere of influence situation and like trying to call all your friends to see if your friends want to sell their house. I'll call a stranger all day long or approach a stranger because there's no judgment. They don't know any different. Right? So leaning on our friends, that's a lot of responsibility we're giving to our friends too, and our sphere. A lot of like that they're supposed to support us and make our job work. That's a
Yeah.
lot of responsibility. Okay, so find the ways then that you love to go meet people. And we just have to make sure it's not just um to make us feel good, like we're out talking to people and now we feel good because we're talking to people. We need to continue like pushing to the next level, which means you need to add tags to your car. You need to do something. Okay, how do I explain this? Like I'm trying to get the
I
word. Do you know what
I
I'm
have
saying?
magnets on my car.
Okay, awesome. So people know what you do,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So we don't want to just like pretend like people are magically supposed to know what we do. We still have to have them know what we do, whether we tell them, it comes up in conversation, whatever, like so that they know what we do. Yeah. Yeah. So, but then like take a expired or for sale by owner then. That's a person that needs help. Would you feel comfortable calling them?
No.
Why? Okay, why?
maybe it's my confidence
Okay. What?
of not quite knowing what to say or how.
Okay.
I just don't want to fumble.
Yeah.
Like
Why,
you said, yeah,
yeah. But why don't you want to fumble?
because I look stupid then, incompetent.
Yeah. But what if you do?
That's not good for me
Why?
because it makes me feel horrible.
Yeah. Because,
I don't like feeling stupid or incompetent. So
okay. So the only reason you're feeling stupid or incompetent is because you think you're not supposed to fumble.
true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if you're just supposed to get out there and fumble?
I guess that's how you learn, right?
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah. And you're doing it exactly the right way if you're supposed to. Like if it's not supposed to be comfortable and you're not supposed to do it right, but the goal is just to have the conversation, then there's no wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does that sit with you?
That's a different way of looking at it. Yeah. And not to be negative about it, but you do learn every time you fumble. I guess I learned from my first phone call is don't call. That was my learning lesson.
That you didn't enjoy it though. You learned that that's
No,
not your jam, that you didn't enjoy it.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
And some people would learn from that and be like, oh, that person just didn't like that I called them. I'm going to keep calling people because I love calling people.
I don't, yeah.
Yeah. But when we get into that mindset of we're worried about how we're going to look or how we're going to feel, I really tap into why do we not like to feel uncomfortable? And just getting good at feeling uncomfortable. Because
Okay.
honestly, we do and don't do things because of the way it makes us feel.
Right.
Everything we do and don't do it because of the way it makes us feel. So if we want to feel good, then we're going to do something. If we don't want to feel uncomfortable, then we will avoid that thing.
Hmm.
Okay. So what I like challenge you to do is to lean into what it feels like physically when you feel uncomfortable.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah, but why is it just feel it? Like if you sit with it for a second and you feel it, just feel it and tell yourself, I'm really good at being uncomfortable. Like I'm going to sit here and I'm going to be uncomfortable.
Okay.
Okay? And actually feel it because we just are so used to avoiding it.
Yeah.
We're just really used to like, here's a lollipop, feel better, don't feel bad. We don't want anybody to feel bad. What if we're really good at feeling bad? What if we're,
I,
it would change your life, wouldn't it though?
yeah, it would.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you don't feel inferior or dumb or like any of the things because there's nothing to feel bad about.
Right.
You're just going to experience what uncomfortable feels like.
Yeah.
Something to think about.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. That was a good question. You're not the only one that struggles with that. And
No.
I've never dialed a random number before, just so you know.
Ah,
Not my whole career. It's not my jam.
okay.
So some
Thank
people
you.
love it. Some people are good at it. You're welcome. Okay. So we had some people on here who also had some questions to ask a coach. So what do we got? You can ask questions about what I taught you, or you can ask, we have a lot of good questions come in. We got to make sure you're on here.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hi,
Nice.
how are you? Yeah,
Tell me-
Anita.
Anita. Okay. Yes.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Okay.
Okay, so my question is about doing real estate part-time.
Okay. What about it?
How would you approach that?
Tell me what the problem is with doing it part-time.
On a daily basis. So my schedule, I work in the weekends for 4 days and I am a bartender.
Okay.
So my shifts are in the afternoon
Okay.
and late night. And sometimes it can be very challenging physically.
Okay.
And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, I have 3 full days, which I'm off.
Okay.
And I'm trying to balance the days that I'm off with the days that I work. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. So where have you found the greatest, like what's your biggest challenge with it? So right now the facts are that you work 4 days over the weekend and then you have 3 days off. So where's the challenge in real estate for that? Where are
Well,
you?
actually, before I answer, I have to also mention that I'm relatively new.
Okay.
So I took my license last year.
Okay.
I did 2 transactions only for a couple of months. I was part of a team, and then I left the team. I started working full time in hospitality industry, and only now I'm restarting again.
Okay.
So
So,
that's my situation.
okay. And how are you feeling about it right now? About the job?
Um, about real estate,
About yourself in real estate right now? How are you feeling about that?
I am in a good place mentally, so like I want to do it. I'm committed to that, but I'm just struggling on how to manage my time.
Okay.
And then
What's the struggle with managing? So you've given me the like your availability. You've
Mhm,
explained your availability. Okay.
mhm.
Okay. So what's the struggle with fitting your business into the availability? Is it that you are trying to create more business and you're having a hard time carving out time to do that? You can't fit in the clients that want you to help them? Where's the struggle?
I am maybe a little bit in all of that, or also maybe I'm just limiting myself by the idea that you cannot do real estate
Hmm,
part time. Maybe it's that. I don't know. Now that I think about it,
yeah.
um,
What if you're the
and
most, oh, go ahead.
no, it's okay.
Hmm. Yeah. So I think that you nailed it. I think that because you already described yourself as new and part-time.
Hmm.
Yeah. I can sell houses while sitting on a beach in Hawaii. You could call me a part-time agent too.
Hmm.
You could call me part-time right now, and I'm still making $50,000 a month. It doesn't matter how many hours. Like we don't want to label.
Hmm.
You just have 3 days available. This is your capacity. What do you want to do with that time?
Yep. Good question.
Yeah. And so I would, when we have scheduling, like, it's not a problem, but when we have a hard time with figuring out how to run our schedule,
Hmm.
I would literally write out your schedule for when you have availability to keep yourself balanced so that you're not exhausting yourself, because that's not going to help you. You're going to burn out. So
Hmm.
what does your availability look like? And then you kind of micromanage that down to what do you want to do in that time frame? So if you have 5 hours available on Monday, what are you going to do in that 5 hours?
Hmm. Yep.
It's
Is a question?
that's
Are you?
yeah.
Yeah.
What would you like to do in
Mhm.
that 5 hours? Like what do you like to do to generate leads? Because I'm assuming that's where you're at, is where you need to generate more business.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. Okay. Yeah,
Hmm.
you can work both jobs. You can, I mean, you can do whatever you want. Right?
Hmm.
I go to every single one of my kids' games, even when I first started. Like I worked my business around my schedule.
Hmm.
That's all you're doing. You just have something different. It wouldn't be any different as if you had children home for 4 days and you had to make sure you were home with your children.
Hmm.
No different.
Yep. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mhm.
Yeah. Y'all are new either. I know Jennifer said, don't call yourself new. That's a mindset confidence thing. You're just trying to figure it out. Like it's just something that you're throwing into the mix is all too. Okay. Anybody else?
Thank you, by the way.
You're welcome. Nice to have you here. If anybody needs, so I did just put out, I haven't even really announced it, and it's kind of on the DL just a little bit. But if you go to agentleader.com/high impact, Academy members don't do this. You already get this for free, but /high impact, you can find my top 20 high impact lead generation methods and some training and assessments that go along with that. $97. So if you need ideas, that is my high impact generation, lead generation tools. that I use, the things that move the needle the fastest, that are more customer facing, right? It's not the passive stuff, it's the customer facing. Okay, who else wants to ask the coach?
Hey,
Hi there.
so let's touch real quick. How do you deal with not getting very much support from spouse or friends,
Oh,
family?
good, I'm glad you are on here because I saw your request come in. Okay, tell me a little bit about that.
So I was a stay-at-home mom for about 7 years. My youngest is 3, so I still have her at home with me most of the time.
Okay.
And my spouse, he's a military, so a very demanding job. And anytime he's home and I'm like, hey, watch the kids so I can go show this house,
Mhm.
it's like, you need to find a career where you don't lean on me. And I'm just kind of like, what do you mean? These are your children.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're already home. It's not like I'm asking you to, hey, leave your work that's not going to allow you to leave to come do this for me. But
Yeah.
it's just every time I like, I'm gonna do an open house this weekend, or I'm gonna do this. It's just I'm getting so much just huffing and puffing and
Okay, I love this. So let me teach you something. Why do we need him to be happy about it?
that's a good question.
Mhm.
I guess just to feel like, because I was super excited about finally being able to hopefully contribute
Mhm.
financially.
Mhm.
I thought he was excited about me going to be able to contribute financially. And now I feel like I've made the wrong decision. Like maybe I should have just stayed a stay-at-home mom. That makes his life easier.
Yeah, okay. Because he feels uncomfortable.
Right.
So the only reason why he's really complaining is because it's making him feel uncomfortable. And you could ask him, but that's generally what happens when we huff and we puff. It's not meaning that he doesn't believe in you. It's not meaning that he doesn't want you to fulfill your dreams. But it's a change, right? I mean, it's a change for you. It's a change for him.
Right.
So when we shift and we have these changes, when you change your behavior, it's going to affect him. But where we have to be really aware and just curious, get very curious about why do we think that he's behaving that way? Like what's going on for him? And I would really lend a bet, like sure, he thinks it's not convenient because he's used to you being home all the time. Right?
Right.
So he's just uncomfortable. Somebody said it's selfish. Well, it's just uncomfortable. And he's just experiencing being uncomfortable. And he doesn't like it.
I agree. Yeah, I tell a lot of people it's growing pains, but it's like, when do the growing pains go away?
Yeah. So they go away for you when you stop needing him to feel comfortable. If he wants to sit in his discomfort, that is all him. Like he can experience discomfort while you are still experiencing what you're experiencing. Would you believe that to be true?
I agree. I wish we could get on the same page because it would definitely make it easier.
But
I can't get him to really spread the word to, his SOI, which is much larger than mine. And I'm like, if you could help me bring in this income simply by telling your friends.
yeah. So can you give me, we're going to do a thought model on you real fast. I love all the, who's owner? Is that right? Anyway, we have lots of good options here. He could be jealous. This is his problem. It's control. really, when it comes down to it, it really is just him expressing his emotions the way that he's feeling, and he may be misplacing it. Okay, so here's the thing. Give me the last time that this happened. Can you give me an example of the situation of the last time this just happened?
This weekend, I have a volunteer at a veterans home that I'm doing with my team, and it's only 2 hours, and he's just like, "We could be doing something as a family." I'm like, "You can come with me."
Yeah.
He's like, "No, I'm not gonna do that." I'm like, "You're literally military."
Okay. Okay. So you have activity on Saturday, 2-hour activity. What did your
Mhm,
what did your husband say to you? We could be doing something as a family.
right.
Okay. So husband says, I'm going to show you how you can create something different here for you. We could be doing something as a family. Okay. So husband says we could be doing something as a family. How does that make you feel?
I think we could still do something as a family on Saturday.
Yeah, but
My
what,
event's only 2 hours.
yeah, but what's the real, like, what's the feeling you're having about him saying that?
I think he's trying to guilt me out of it.
So when he's trying to guilt you, I think so. You think he's trying to guilt you out of it. How does that make you feel?
Uh, Lack of support. He doesn't want me doing this career.
So those are
Maybe
all,
it makes me feel like I shouldn't do the career, that my focus needs to be on him and the kids. But then I also have that side where it's like, no, I'm not just a housewife. I'm not just a mom. I can do both. And I feel like he needs to get on the same page.
okay. So, um, but you still haven't got to a feeling. So those are all thoughts about what he said.
I
But what,
guess it makes me feel angry,
angry. That's what I was looking for. I mean,
but
not,
I also feel bad for him.
yeah, but your initials, like, I mean, that's a secondary. So you're angry at what he says to you first, and then you're like, oh, but I feel bad for you. And then you went into the maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And then you're trying to rationalize it a little bit.
Hmm.
Okay. So primarily when he says this, it's creating anger for you.
Yes.
Okay. What part about it is making you feel angry?
I feel like he's trying to guilt me out of things. Guilt me out of things that's going to help me grow in my career. Um,
And that makes you angry?
yes.
Okay. Actually, not feel, but he's guilting me out of, what'd you say? Guilting me out of what?
Things that will help me grow in my career.
Okay. So that is what's creating the anger for you. So here's you're probably wondering, like, what are you writing down here, Lisa? For those of you that haven't ever, let me throw this up here. For those of you who haven't ever attended a session with me before, we just give you what I'm doing, okay? So this is the thought model, and everything that happens, we can categorize into one of 5 of these categories. And this really helps us to start to understand what we're creating for ourselves. And then we can be able to see how we can change that, right? If we're not enjoying what we're creating, like we want to create something different, right? Which is a little bit about what we talked about with Marita, just without writing it out. So circumstances are neutral. They are facts. The words that your husband said are the circumstance. Okay. Your husband just said words. And if he said those words, the reason why I say they're neutral, they don't feel neutral to you, but they're neutral because if he said them to anybody else, would they react the same way as you? They wouldn't, right? If he said those words to me, I'd be like, I got nothing for you, right? So it's just a neutral circumstance. We can't change what he says. We can't change the fact that it happened. Our thoughts are what give meaning to the circumstances. So when we have a circumstance that happens, it means nothing until we have a thought about it. So your thought Here's our neutral circumstance. Husband says we should be doing something as a family. That's just a neutral circumstance. Just a fact. He said those words. It's just a fact. Okay. But the thought that you had, the meaning that you gave to what he said, means he's guilting me out of things that will help me grow my career. We follow?
Yes.
Okay. That thought. So our thoughts are what generate our feelings. So when we're angry, we love to attribute our anger to the thing that he said, but we miss this thought we're having in between. The thought is what generates our feeling. So you're angry because you think he's guilting you. That's where the anger part's coming from. Okay. Are we follow?
Yes.
Okay. So when you're angry, what do you do or don't do? What kind of actions? So our anger, but our feelings generate our actions.
So what do I do or say in response?
Yeah. So what are you doing or not doing when you get angry?
I try to make him feel more comfortable about the situation. You know, we can either do something before I go, we can do something after I get back, we can do something the following day.
Okay. So you're trying to fix it. Trying to fix his feelings. What else? How do you show up when you're angry?
How do I show up to the event?
How do you show up in general? Like what is a byproduct of you feeling angry?
I try not to show that I'm angry and try to show him that I'm listening, I care, but this is what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm just gonna poke at you. Are you okay with me poking at you a little bit?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Okay. So first you're trying to fix it because you don't want him to feel that way, right? So that's an action you're taking. It sounds like you're kind of like hiding your own feelings a little bit. You're trying not to show that you're
That's
angry.
fair.
Okay. So hiding your feelings a little bit. Is it discouraging at all? Does it
Yes, I feel very discouraged, like on a daily basis. I'm just like, should I be doing this?
okay. So you probably slow down in your business a little bit?
Definitely.
Okay. 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 So these are things that happen. So our results are directly tied to the actions that we're having, like that we're taking. Okay. So when we're feeling angry and we're trying to fix somebody else's feelings and we're hiding our own feelings and we're discouraged and we're slowing down, like we're not showing up in excellence. We're not really giving ourselves the best opportunity with what we want to do, with what you want to do. Right. And honestly, our results are tied to our thoughts. So if he's guilting you out of things that will help you grow in your career, look at what we're getting from the actions that we're taking. We're not really growing in our career.
Right.
Right. All because of the one thing that he said and how we're thinking about it. So here's the thing. I had this, I thought motto myself all the time. And when we stop and look at this, we think that what he said is what's really dictating what's going on here. But what's really dictating how we're feeling and the actions that we're taking and the results that we're getting are the thought that we're having. So the choice that you have, this is the most awesome thing here, is that our thoughts are optional. And I know it may not feel optional at the moment, but our thoughts are optional. So if we don't love not growing, if we don't love feeling angry, we can't fix it by just taking more actions. We can't fix it. I heard you say, we'll just go out at this time, or we'll just do this, like trying to find a solution and to hopefully feel better about it. But then it's going to keep coming up. It's going to keep coming up until you guys recalibrate your relationship and with your job and all that good stuff. So to feel better now, we look at our thought line. We look at how else would we like to think about what your husband says. So what else could be possible?
I completely agree. I control my own thoughts. And to think differently. It's just like the how to think differently when I feel like I know that he's trying to guilt me.
Okay.
Of course, if I tell him, hey,
Maybe.
I feel like you're trying to guilt me, he's, oh, no, no.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
So why does it matter to him? Why is he feeling so here's where you start to get a little bit curious. Let me give you a personal example so I can like take some of the like let me take a little bit of the stress off just for a second. I've got people making comments like, don't put this all on her. I'm not putting it on you. But here's the thing. We are two separate people, right? And we all have our own thought patterns. And when we feel subject to what other people say and them dictating our feelings and our emotions, it's like giving them a remote control to our life and saying, here, you just tell me how I'm going to feel today. And that's not okay. And I will tell you, I did that for a very long time, and it's not okay. You have all the power. You hold all the power about how you want to feel. Now, is it hard? Sure, it's hard. I'm not saying it's not hard. What I'm saying is that if we don't love the results that we have, if we don't love the way that we're feeling, it's not anyone else's responsibility but ours. We have to be able to take care of it ourselves. And we get to do that through what we think about it. Now, so just let me give you an example. So there was one Saturday where we were supposed to go boating. And I walked in, we had the whole plan. Okay. My daughter had invited her friends. We were leaving at 11 o'clock. And I walked into the room and I said to my husband, okay, like, you know, we're going to get ready. We're going to leave at 11 and whatever. And he goes, I don't want to go today. And I said, well, are you going to tell your daughter? Because she's got all the friends and we have the plan. And, you know, so usually at that point I would get angry because I'm like, we made the plan and we have to go and you can't back out and like all the reasons. Right. And I would get angry. Instead, I got curious and I said, okay, why don't you want to go? And he said, because I don't feel like it today. And I was like, okay, so what would you guys do at that point? Right. So I thought for just a second and I thought, okay, right. You know what? I could take the boat. I could take your truck and we could go. Like I'm still game for going. So I don't need to make you go. I don't need to make you happy. If you want to stay home and this is how you want to feel, he can stay home and feel that way. Of course, I didn't say all those words out loud, but this was my like thought pattern, right? If this is how he feels today, and these are his emotions that he's having, I'm going to let him experience his own emotions. And I'll take the boat and the kids and your truck and we'll go do it ourselves and I'll figure it out. And he proceeded to say, and this was the key, like this was the key. He said, you guys don't care about how I feel. Like I don't have a choice. You're making me go. And I'm like, I'm not making you do anything. Right? So allowing him to have his emotions, that's all he was having. And I just wonder, and this could or couldn't be true, but I just want to kind of shake loose in your brain other possibilities, which is what we don't do, right? We don't shake loose possibilities because this seems so true. It seems like the option. It seems like truth to us, but it doesn't feel good. And it doesn't give us the results that we want. Right. So what else could be true about your husband saying we could be doing something as a family? Could it be true that maybe he's disappointed? Could it be true that he feels put out?
100%.
Yeah, like could it be true that this man who has always had you home for the last 7 years to take care of the kids now has added responsibility and he's not sure how to navigate that yet? Whether he birthed those children or not, right? He doesn't know because it's something new for him. And what if it's uncomfortable? And I'm not saying uncomfortable to hang out with your kids. I'm just saying like it was easier when you were home,
Right.
right? So, but just like my husband saying, you're making me go boating. I don't have a choice, right? Just like that, literally, he's just saying like, maybe underlying here, like it could just be like, I'm really, if you did stay home, would you really go out and do something as a family, or would you all just end up hanging out at home?
Could probably be hanging out at home.
Yeah. So this is just like, maybe he feels like it's unfair. Maybe he's having a hard time with the change. If
I
those,
just don't know how to help him
you don't need
with
to,
that.
yeah. So
Those
here's,
are his feelings.
those are his feelings. Yeah. So sometimes we can help them by asking them questions and just being curious. Just being curious. Like, is this hard? How do you feel about the transition? Like, this is important to me. Like that communication piece. Right. But not tying any of that and his response to how you're feeling about it. And I know that's hard. That's like really sounds hard to say, doesn't it? Like, I'm not going to tie my emotions to any of this. I'm just going to shut it all out. That's not what I mean. What I mean is he needs to be like, this is him. Okay. And his little thought bubble here. And here's you. And here's your thought bubble. Okay. Look like little angels. Okay. We need to allow them to experience life the way they're experiencing it. This is going to happen with your kids too. Happens all the time. And we feel like we need to make them feel better. We feel like we need to fix it, which you've already said. Or we feel like we have to hide our feelings and emotions because it's going to put more on them. And what I'm saying is, it's okay for him to experience some uncomfortable space. Now, does it become not okay if he's like rude? Like out, and I don't know your like dynamic in your house, but there's definitely some boundaries that go along with that. But there's nothing to fix because he's just experiencing some uncomfortable space right now. What I want you to understand, Julie, is you don't have to make it mean that you can't grow and that he doesn't want you to grow.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get that. I agree.
Yeah. Tell me what you're thinking right now.
I have a lot of homework.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a lot to take in, especially, it was a big transition for me too. I've
Mhm.
only been doing this for a few months now, and with the market the way it is, it's not like I've gone out and sold a whole lot. So I think he sees that as well. It's like, well, you're not selling anything, so why are you leaving us?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
I know.
it's like, great, love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, because then we start to, I mean, then there's the whole like self-doubt on your part, and I need to do it faster. And like there's a whole lot of other things that come along with that too, sometimes. So I mean, there's definitely balance. And I'm not talking about balance. What I'm talking about is like our mental well-being and the way that we're feeling. And I just without giving a gazillion more personal examples, I didn't always have the exact same support. I had my husband who was afraid of what I was doing, telling me, why are you doing it this way? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Yeah, yeah. And you're spending time and you're spending money, and can we afford this? And like there's all the things that came along with things I was trying to do. And if we don't allow them, like we need to allow other people to experience their emotions. And if that's what he's just doing, it may take some time for him to get more comfortable with what's going on, or just and be open and communicate to understand like why does he feel that way. Like is there a way, just like with my husband, right? Well, like I could take the boat, like giving another option, not trying to fix it, but sometimes giving another option helps them look at what they're thinking a little bit and is like, oh, we could be doing something as a family. And you even tried it. Like, well, we could do something on Friday. What's a better time? Or could we do it right after? I'll be done in 2 hours. And then let him like take that in. You know what I mean?
Right. Mhm.
Anyway, it's a process. It's a process. If you go to the podcast, there is some earlier in my podcast, there are some, I don't feel worthy. I don't have support from my husband. There's some other episodes in there where we kind of talk through some of that as well. But yeah.
Is that under agent leader
If you go to
coaching?
agentleader.com, then you can find a link to the podcast in there. I always forget the name of my podcast, but it's on Apple and it's on Spotify. It's all the things. So you can go find that. But it helps. The thought work, you guys, is so powerful because it gets us off the roller coaster of reacting based on other people's emotions or other people's decisions or words that they say or circumstances around us that we don't have control over. We don't need to control. Yeah. And do you understand? I know we have some big concern coming in the chat here that I'm saying it's all your fault. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you get to hold the power, and nobody gets to make you feel any way that you don't want to feel.
Yeah, no, I understand. That's actually something I've been taught all my life. You control the way that you feel, but it's hard sometimes
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
remember, I control the way that I feel.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll do a class here in the near future just about the thought model and how to self-coach yourself so that it's something you can be able to start to recognize. It's a really great tool. Really. I mean, it's changed my life in like literally, like I said, 15 minutes before I just got on this call, like something that would have literally like sunk me because I would have reacted and felt like I didn't have a choice. Like I'm working through. It's a whole different world. So yeah, we do have a lot of emotions in this career. It's fun stuff. It's life, guys. Okay. All right. We've been on for a while. Anybody have any burning questions before we go? Don't mind if that brought anything up for somebody, if you want to raise your hand. Otherwise, I'm going to have a sign off for today. Oh, we do have one. Okay. Oh, and I'm going to butcher your name. Go ahead and unmute.
Hi, this is Masroor. How are you guys
Okay.
doing?
Hi, good. Okay. What can I help you with?
So I mostly work on the buyer side more than the selling side.
Okay.
So I have a question like, how do I transition myself? I mean, this year, so far it's a tough market. I'm in Michigan. I have done like 16 sales on the buyers and one on the selling side.
Okay.
So I want to know, like, if you have something for me that can train me for the selling side, and I know I can spend money to generate leads from the internet, but is there a model I should follow to nurturing them, converting them, and then since I don't do a lot of selling side, so if there's a training that I can utilize or something.
Yeah, so you can get that in my Kickstart Business Growth program. I give you my 4-step listing process and how to do that very effectively. So
Okay.
that's what you're asking. So if you just go to agentleader.com,
Uh-huh.
you have two options in there. My Kickstart Business Growth is just independent. You can buy that, and that will get you my 4-step listing process and some other how to list $3 million properties and all sorts of other bonuses in there. Or I teach that in my academy, which Kickstart is also included inside my academy. So if that's a goal that you have, if that's what you want to do to transition, then inside my academy, what happens is it's a customized plan that you're going to get inside the Agent Leader Academy, because we do a
Okay.
one-on-one session, because there's some other follow-up questions I would ask you about what your business looks like, where it's coming from, so that we can see how you transition into listings. And then I give you the tools, the trainings based on your answers. So it's a customized path instead of here's 100 trainings and go watch them all so that you can be great at everything. You don't need all of them. But you're going to need specifics. So those would be my two options that I can offer you inside my program. Yeah. And congratulations on
Okay.
16
Thank
buyers
you.
this year. That's amazing because buyers were tough this year. So that's
Oh,
listings
oh
is
my
going to be
God.
a piece of cake. You've
You have no
gone through
idea
the
how
gauntlet.
many,
Yeah.
yeah, how many property I had to go and then
Oh.
how many offer I had to put and all those things, so it's not easy. It's not
Yeah.
easy.
It is not. No, I mean, if you could handle 16 buyers, man, you got some good strength behind you because they all, man, can't make up their minds this year. And they're also picky and everybody wants, everything. Anyway, the rates, and there's a lot of stuff with that. So good job. Congratulations on that. It's awesome. Okay. Awesome. Okay. If you guys need anything else, just holler at me. And I want to thank, I didn't say this, and I want to say, Julie, thank you for being willing to share. That's huge. Just so you know, there's a lot of us that struggle with a lot of things and we don't do really well. Like we struggle raising our hand and saying, hey, this is how I feel and this is what I'm struggling with. And so I just want to really commend you for being willing to do that. That's huge. That really is huge. And anyway, I'm going to send you an email. So we're not going to leave you hanging. All right, you guys. Have an amazing week. I hope you learned something new. Replays are always up on the podcast and you can catch that in your email. I've got a link in there already, or always already. Anyway. All right, you guys, have a wonderful week. Thank you for coming to
Thank
Ask the
you.
Coach.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Hey, real estate agents. What's the most embarrassing thing that's happened to you in your real estate business? You want to know what can be embarrassing? Asking questions, asking for help. You know what's even more embarrassing? Failing because we lack the ability to ask for help, or we didn't have the right source. We couldn't find the right people to ask for help from. I'm inviting you to come to Ask a Coach, where you can ask a high-performing realtor, certified life coach, certified high-performance coach. I am here to answer your questions, to help you and to coach you to be your best self possible so that you can be able to navigate the crazy market that we're in right now. So join me on Thursday, and I would love to coach you on whatever question that you have that's going to help you to get to your next level. I'll see you there.